have seen the torch of freedom pass from hand to yearning hand, and the vision of our fathers spread hope throughout this land, as the dream some fought and died for in my heart becomes my own. I will strive to keep her promise, America, my home. America, America, may God bless America, and freedom reign across America, my home. From the shorelines to the prairies, to the cities great and small, we have reaped the fruits of justice and liberty for all. So
With deep appreciation for the blessings of freedom that we know in this great land of ours, this Dr. George Simon, welcoming you to another edition of Character Matters. This is the program where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that plagues much of the world, and we have a discussion about what it is we can do about it, because really, when you think about it, our freedoms, the great freedoms that we enjoy and that we celebrate on this weekend, our Independence Day celebrations are all a remembrance, basically, of the right we have in this country to free expression, to be left alone from government, and to be free to pursue our dreams. And this, of course, requires us to be upstanding people, because when we're not people of decent character, there's always the temptation from government to impose burdensome rules and restrictions that impinge upon our freedoms. These rules and restrictions have never really kept us safe. We are under the illusion that they do, but they don't really. What keeps us safe for the most part, is the willing compliance of those among us who have the character to respect the rules of fair play, and thereby make this society livable. But unfortunately, there are plenty among us who frankly just don't care, don't give a darn about anyone except themselves, and who don't take any of their responsibilities seriously. And from these folks, we can't be safe, no matter how many laws or regulations we pass, no matter how government tries to enforce the rules, no matter how draconian the measures are that government drafts to try and curtail folks. When people are not of good character, just about anything can go, which is why it is so important from so early on to really pay attention to the rearing process of our children, to instill in them the values that will not only make of them better people, but will help build a great society. That's what it's all predicated on. And today, being the day after the 4th, being still the celebratory weekend of our independence. Matter of fact, my family is celebrating it yet through tomorrow. We took a long weekend off. We began celebrating on Friday with part of the family, and then another part just yesterday, and we will be doing so again yet tomorrow. It's a great weekend. It's a great weekend to remember what it is that we have here, what it is that we enjoy in this country, an unprecedented degree of freedom. But it all hinges on character. I wrote about that in my blog this past weekend, my Friday's post about America's true greatness on my manipulative-people.com blog. That's www.manipulative-people.com. You can go there and read the article. And I know you might want to talk about the issue too. So tonight's program is dedicated to a discussion about the freedoms that we enjoy, what really makes America great. That's really the topic. Is it our freedom, or is it what permits our freedom to exist? What really makes us great? Is it the wealth that we have? Is it the might that we have? What really makes us great? I'd like to hear your opinions on that. If you want to share your opinions, you have a question to ask, just anything at all you want to share, make a comment, give us a call at 718-717-8296. That's 718-717-8296. Like I said, it's a special broadcast because it's a special weekend. America's true greatness. Where does it lie? Where does it lie? Some would say it's in our economic power. Still second to none in economic power, although it won't be long because of the sheer numbers, not only of people, but of the sheer scope of the economy in China. It won't be long before China is the number one economy in the world, displacing the United States for the first time in modern history. That will be a monumental day. That will be a really important day. You know, one of the things that we enjoy in this country, one of the things that makes our economic prosperity so possible, is that the United States has been, for many years, since the close of World War II, we have been the world's reserve currency. When all is said and done, U.S. dollar is the bedrock for so many countries in the world. But after our last financial crisis, brought on by people of pretty despicable character, which again illustrates the point of why character matters more than anything, and why it is the title of this program. But to solve the crisis that was created in the financial disasters on Wall Street, brought on by these truly nefarious characters, greedy characters, determined to rape and pillage the American public. After that, the United States government printed just tons of money to bail out so-called too big to fail institutions. Most of that money went right into the hands of the nefarious characters who created the mess in the way of bonuses. But a lot of the rest of the money got infused into the economy to get it going. It didn't really work very well. When you print a lot of money, money becomes worth a heck of a lot less. And unfortunately, today, people are seeing that their dollar doesn't reach very far at all. And people who are at the bottom of the bottom end of the pay scale, who are making minimum wage, who are grinding it out, can barely sustain themselves. So, one of the things that's likely to happen is that this once bedrock, the American dollar, this one solid, trustworthy currency, one of the things that's likely to happen is it will no longer be the world's reserve currency. China, once they overtake us, and they will, they have the clout and will likely make a bid, and perhaps a successful bid, to hold the world's reserve currency. And this will do something that most people don't realize how insidious this is. This will do something that we have not been used to, seeing as though we have been the world's reserve currency since the close of World War II. We won't be able to just print money with such wild abandon like we do. We won't be able to do that. And then folks will really begin to feel the pinch like never before. And perhaps that's what it will take. Perhaps, I think America has found its character sometimes in the depths of despair. I'm sure many of you have parents or grandparents who tell stories about their parents having survived the Great Depression or having gone through the Great Depression. Stories of heroism, of families pulling together, of families having to pool their resources just to make it. I know personally of members of my extended family, 3 and 4 families sharing one domicile, because that's what it took at the time. It is in those times of need, those times that try and test men and women's souls, provide a real test of character. It's in those times that people find their character, and people of decent character rise to the fore and rise to the challenge. It's in those times when people find out what they're really made of. And perhaps that's exactly what we need to have happen again. And, it's not a stretch by any means that it is likely to. We have literally bankrupted ourselves, living far beyond our means, especially government, living way beyond its means. And today in the paper, I read an article. I knew this was coming. I am not going to talk here about the principle of universal health care. I'm not going to talk about that. The issue I want to talk about is what we were sold in the way of an Affordable Care Act by both politicians and by insurance companies. Now, lest anyone in the audience think that I want to take one political point of view, let me assure you that I actually believe that it is in our best interest if we have universal coverage for health care. You know, insurance for health services, like any other services, was meant for those catastrophes, was meant for those big ticket items that nobody could reasonably be expected to pay for should they occur, but which were nonetheless relatively rare events. Hence, you get insurance. For example, most people own a car. Most people own a car. There are some who unfortunately don't have the resources to own their own car. But most folks in our country have their own car. These things are expensive items. Most people can't just go out and put down cash for a car. Also, if you have an accident, there are liabilities involved. Liabilities that can run into the millions of dollars. Most people don't have those kind of resources to pay for those liabilities. But inasmuch as accidents are relatively rare events, they're not all that rare, but, you know, many of us will go through our entire lifetimes without having an automobile collision. This is great news. But in the event that one should happen, and in the event that it's a serious one that results in serious injury or, God forbid, even death, we have these things called insurance companies that spread the risk over large groups of people and then pay benefits out of premiums paid into this pool so that individuals don't go broke in the in the event that they have one of these relatively rare but very costly events come into their lives. That's what insurance was for. Insurance is not meant to pay for everything. You don't ask your insurance company to put gas in your car. You don't ask your insurance company to do your oil changes. If you want to add a new super-duper stereo system to your car, you don't ask your insurance company to pay for it. So this is how insurance works. It covers those rare events that are very costly and that could easily break a person. If you did, if we were to do with other insurances what employers and unions did together with health insurance, with respect to what insurance pays for or reimburses for, if we did with automobile insurance, if we did the same thing, had it pay for everything, had it pay for every time you tank up, had it pay for oil changes, had it pay for improvements that you wanted to make, every time you needed a repair job, you put a new set of tires on. If insurance paid for all of that and you didn't have to pay out of your pocket, how much do you think your automobile insurance would cost? It's bad enough now. Most people would say they have to continue to shop around for their insurance because it's gotten so prohibitive. But think of how bad it would be, how high the premium, how sky high the premiums would be if insurance paid for everything. Insurance was never meant for that, but that's what that's what happened to healthcare insurance. It became the third party payer for just about every medical service, not rare emergencies, but for everything. And with this so-called Affordable Care Act, all kinds of things had to be covered. Elective things. This drives up the costs. And what I was getting to as I was reading an article this morning, that here it comes. For 2016, all the major insurance carriers are asking the government to approve 22 to 31% increases in premiums for next year. 22 to 31% increases in premiums for next year. Why? Because the people that they were forced to cover and the services that they were forced to cover were more costly than they estimated. And of course, they still have to make their obscene profits. This unholy alliance, this collusion, this shameful conspiracy that went down several years ago is a perfect example of the kind of irresponsibility that can occur. Oh, I know the intentions perhaps there was some nobility of intention, because it is in this country a crying shame and really irresponsible of us to have certain folks not covered, to have certain folks not be able to get the services they need. But in fact, there were already laws on the books whereby folks in need of care could not be denied care, especially emergency care. So this point I'm making has nothing to do with the general issue of should we as a society agree to find some way to make health care both available and affordable for all. To me, that's a no-brainer. I think it's the responsible thing to do. But you know, the devil is always in the details, and this is where people's character flaws always show up. And there are nefarious characters on both sides of this debate. And there were nefarious characters involved on both sides of the issue when all the wrangling was going on in Washington about how to do this. But the pure fact is that in the last 2 years, most deductibles have quintupled for most people, and most premiums have doubled already. Already that's happened. And now The major carriers are saying that they want 22 to 31% increase in premiums next year. And this was the fix, supposedly, to our broken healthcare system. Wouldn't it be nice if we could trust just one person making the rules for us? Wouldn't that be nice? It's a dream. It's a dream. Our character crisis has gotten us into so much deep doo-doo, it's not funny. As most of you know, I love this country. I love it. I treasure the freedoms that we still enjoy, and we still enjoy an unprecedented degree of freedom. I treasure the opportunities we still have. But most of all, I treasure that great silent mass of folks that takes their responsibility seriously, gets up every day, fulfills their duties on the job, take care of their kids, see to it that they learn right from wrong, that they make a contribution, hold their communities together. This is the great unsung story of America. This is where I believe America's true greatness lies. And that's what I wrote about in my blog post of last Friday. If you agree with me, or if you disagree, give us a call at 718-717-8296. That's 718-717-8296. Be happy to hear from you. But as I said in the post, America's true greatness has never lied in its military might or its economic power. That's not where its greatness is. America's greatness lies in its people of good character. And fortunately, there are still plenty of them. Not enough. Not enough by any means. The truly nefarious characters are running the show. And that's going to break us. But it's those people of character among us that make us great, because it's on their backs and it's because of them that freedom is still alive. I pointed out in the post on Friday, once again, that our founders, when they were framing the Constitution, when they were framing the structure of our government, they knew that it all hinged on character. And that's not to say that even the founders had their own character issues. They did. But there was some nobility there among some of these folks. And whether or not they had their own flaws, as we all do, there's still truth in what they say. And some people will ask, well, how do we know that the founders really believed that all of our freedoms hinge on character, and that the government that they were designing would only work if people were of upstanding character? Well, we have the written record, actually, and we have a letter that John Adams wrote on October the 11th, 1798. He wrote this letter to the officers of the 1st Brigade of the 3rd Division of the Militia of Massachusetts. And this is just an excerpt from that letter. It reads, quote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." End quote. What does he mean by that? A lot of people might object to the fact that he threw in the term religious. You have to understand the times. I know people can be moral, and I know they can be decent without necessarily being religious. But for many, many, many years, folks have turned to religion as at least one means, one vehicle for character development and growth. One way in which to both find, develop, and keep a sound moral compass. So that's what John Adams was talking about. He was talking about the fact that a constitution that's whole purpose was to limit the power of government. And even after they had finished writing it, and even after they had finished all these limitations, the very first thing they did was they realized that they needed some amendments to even further guarantee the rights of the individuals living in the country and to limit even further the power of government. So many of those amendments start out with "Congress shall make no law." Once again, limiting government's power. This was the whole design, right from the beginning. So you can see from Adams's letter that what he's talking about is that such a government, such a structure would only work if the people in the country had their own moral compass, and that moral compass was adequate to make the society healthy and whole and prosperous and safe so it could remain free. We have to be able to trust people to do the right thing. And when it came to this healthcare laws, nobody did the right thing. Nobody. It's not a matter of good intention. I'm sure that there were plenty of well-intended folks, but they betrayed important principles and they acted in bad character. And then, worse than anything else, is that through some snookering, some political snookering, they shoved it down everybody's throats, even though everyone knew the plan was deeply flawed. Now, I got to tell you, folks, as a professional, I've been in business. And before I was in business as a professional, I was in other businesses. And when you know that you have a flawed product, and then you have the audacity and the power to make somebody purchase it, that's a character issue. That's a character issue big time. this is still the land of the free. And I know every single political entity on various sides of the spectrum with various agendas, each one says, we need to take our country back. And I'm not jumping on one side or another. Because believe me, you can find things to mistrust in any single in any single part of our political spectrum, in any perspective. But we do need to take this country back. The irresponsible among us have done us in. And we have, in some ways, done ourselves in, too. We've asked for a lot. We've asked for a lot without being willing to pay for it. And now we're really paying the price for that. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I love this country. There's something special about what's left of our national character. It's the freedom that we have that makes it special. It's the fact that even when we do the unthinkable, like even when we go to war for the wrong reasons, we have people who can dissent, who speak up, and who aren't jailed just for it. Oh, I know we have some whistleblowers that are being hounded on the face, all across the face of the earth. But those ideals are still here. They're still recoverable. We haven't lost our soul just yet, but I'm afraid we're losing it. And this pains me. And as you know, every Independence Day, I get to thinking about these topics, and I get to wanting to talk about these topics. And inevitably, my thoughts turn to the greatest, the biggest single attempt that I made in my life to inspire folks to treasure what it is that we have here, and to realize the inextricable relationship that exists between freedom and character, and to do their part, to carry the torch of freedom and pass it on from one person to the next, from one generation to the next. And of course, I'm talking about the song that plays at the beginning of each program and at the close. That when I was working on a book about the interdependence of freedom and character, came into my head and would not leave me alone. I've told the story before. But every July 4th weekend, I tell it again. You know, I've written 3 books: In Sheep's Clothing, and Character Disturbance, and also The Judas Syndrome. In Sheep's Clothing, Understanding and Dealing with Manipulative People. is an international bestseller, and I'm very grateful for the support it has received. Everybody knows a manipulator in their life. Everybody knows a disturbed character in our life. That's why I wrote the follow-up book, Character Disturbance. Everybody knows someone that they either work with or have been in a relationship or with or have been perhaps even married to or have to deal with on a daily basis that is of poor character, troublesome character, and has caused untold damage in the relationship. And the Judas syndrome, for my friends out there in the Christian faith community, this is the book I wrote about how our actions betray our lack of faith in the person that taught us to love and to love boundlessly. We betray our lack of faith with our actions when we behave in the kinds of ways that many of us have too often behaved. So I've written those books, but I was working on a book about the interrelationship between freedom and character, the interdependence of those two things. And as I was working about it, this is a book still not developed, but actually will be developed fairly shortly. As I was working on it, this melody began to play in my head over and over again. And the only thing I knew as this melody played over and over again in my head, the only thing I knew were the words, 3 words, America, my home, would be part of the chorus. That's all I knew. And it would not leave me. It literally haunted me day and night. When I was driving in my car, as I was going to sleep at night, during the middle of the day, truly would not leave me alone until I finally sat down and wrote out the music for the first time in my life, writing out any music, and then collaborating with my wife, Sherry, in crafting the lyrics. And we were able to do that largely with the help and prodding of my brother. I have a younger brother, Joe, who I was complaining to, saying, you know, I had all these things I wanted to say. He teased it out of me. He said, "What are you trying to tell people? What is it that you want to let them know about America and what we need to preserve and how we're going to do it?" And I said, I wanted to make it personal. That freedom depends on us honoring our best ideals. And he prodded me. He said, "Well, say that." And then my wife, Sherry, actually helped me to say it. And so that's how the theme song that you hear open and close this program was composed. It was composed at the turn of the millennium, back in 1999. It was meant to be an anthem for the new millennium, and that's why its official title is Anthem for the Millennium. But it became much more popularly known by its subtitle, America, My Home, after the tragic events of 9/11 and a regional ABC television station paired the song with a video of the tragic events of the week and played it after every broadcast for several nights on the evening news. And from then, it went on to see performances by individuals all across the country. And once again, a huge thank you to all of those who were so wonderful to ask to carry the song's message to audiences all across the country, singing in your churches, your outdoor events, your 4th of July events. I can't thank you enough. And to those of you who sent me back some thank yous, or who saw the videos on YouTube and sent me notes telling me how much you enjoyed the song and how beautiful you found it to be, thank you so much. Nothing warms my heart more than that. I wanted to make it personal. I wanted to reach your heart. This is a great and wonderful place. But it depends on us. It can't work without us being good, decent, trustworthy people. That's what needs to happen for us to be really, really great again. So, for you out there who have never heard it all the way through and who wish to hear it, I'm going to play Anthem for the Millennium, more popularly known as America My Home. Only this time I'm going to play it all the way through. You'll hear it again at the closing bumper. But for you all right now, on this 4th of July weekend, as we celebrate the freedoms we enjoy, please enjoy and please let your heart be open to the message of America, my home.
I have seen the torch of freedom pass from hand to yearning hand, and the vision of our fathers spread hope throughout this land, as the dream some fought and died for in my heart becomes my own. I will strive to keep her promise, America, my home. Oh, America, America, may God bless America, and freedom reign across America, my home. From the shorelines to the prairies, to the cities great and small, we have reaped the fruits of justice and liberty for all. So with deep appreciation for the blessings we have known, I will honor her forever. America, my home. America, America, may God bless America, and freedom reign
Yes, may freedom reign across America, this great, great, wonderful country that we enjoy. But what makes it possible is people of good character who honor America's best ideals and who put those ideals into practice. Those who take their responsibilities seriously. This is the secret of America. Individual responsibility. This was the birth of a dream. Today is the day that we celebrate the day that settlers in this country said to their protectors, we no longer need you because we can take care of ourselves. And besides which, in taking care of us, you have become oppressive. You have extracted more from us than you have provided. You have burdened us more than you needed to. And so therefore you have become more like a tyrant than our protector. Leave us alone. We're capable of taking care of ourselves. That was the message. Let's see if someone agrees with me here. We have a call coming in. Hello and welcome to Character Matters. Hello. I'm afraid I can't pick up the call. I'm not sure what's going on. Hello and welcome to Character Matters. Sorry. Not sure what's happening there, but someone was trying to call in. Couldn't pick it up. If the caller would, if you wouldn't mind trying again, it would be helpful for you to try and call in again. So if you wouldn't mind hanging up and then calling in again, I'd appreciate it. But that was the message. That was the message that was given to the British government by the American colonists. We can take care of ourselves. This rugged individualism has been part of the fabric of America since our founding. We can not only take care of ourselves, but we can take care of each other because we have our own internal moral compass. We don't need anybody else setting all the rules and imposing all the restrictions on us. The only thing that we need a government for is to provide protection for us that we couldn't reasonably provide for ourselves. You know, not all of us are going to own tanks to protect against foreign invaders. You know, not all of us are going to have the resources to provide for some of the larger scale kinds of things that we need. But for everything else, we can take care of ourselves. That was the message. That's how we were founded. And for many years, that's how we operated. That's the greatness of America. Right there. Now, part of that greatness is that we all know that there are those among us who, through no fault of their own, are disadvantaged in some way and can't participate to the fullest extent that they would like to in this do-it-yourself enterprise we call America. And for years, our charitable institutions saw to it that those among us who couldn't take care of themselves were taken care of by the rest of us. Fortunately, there are relatively few of us who truly cannot take care of themselves, who are so disadvantaged for no fault of their own that they can't participate in this do-it-yourself society, that they can't function independently. What's unfortunately the case is that there are many others who could, but don't. Let me try and answer this call one more time. Hello and welcome to Character Matters.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I know your show's almost over.
Yes, it is. We have about 3 minutes.
I'm just wondering.
Yes.
If you could talk one of these times a little bit more about divorcing these people and how to deal with all that craziness that they still produce.
I mean, how to separate oneself from a person of really poor character?
Yeah. Well, when you're in the middle of a divorce with them, it's wicked. Play all their games and.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know, we're toward the end of the program.
Right.
I've got a lot to say about that in my book, Character Disturbance, and I have a couple of blog posts about that on manipulative-people.com. But I will address that for sure in the next program because that's one of 2 topics that I have on tap for next program. So I'll make you a deal. If you promise to tune in, I promise to answer that question.
Okay, I hope to do that.
Okay.
Great.
And thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, yes, unfortunately, we're running short of time, and I just wanted to make this one last appeal. Folks, we have to take it very seriously. Everything that we have and everything we enjoy here depends on us, ultimately. It all depends on us. We will survive as a nation, as a society, as a people, only when we step up to the plate and do our part, each and every one of us, to make this place the place it can be. We all have to take it seriously. And if we do, our country will be great once again. I'm Dr. George Simon. Thanks for joining me on Character Matters.